Good evening and welcome to our debate on Tele ABA versus in-home ABA. Gina, next slide, please. Throughout this debate, we will hear from 4 ladies who will be discussing the benefits and differences of in-home ABA services and Tele ABA services. I will introduce each of them, and then they will give a brief background about themselves. My name is Rachel Johnson, and I will be the moderator and timekeeper for tonight's debate. I'm in my 3rd semester at Ball State University studying applied behavior analysis. I have been a special education teacher for 3 years, and prior to that, I worked with a company that provides in-home ABA services for individuals with autism, along with parent training and supports. Jana Bosscher will be our Tele ABA stater.
Hi, I'm Jana Bosscher. This is my 1st semester at Ball State in the certificate program, and I've worked in ABA and special education for several years.
Thank you. Molly Bliese will be our in-home ABA stater.
Hi, my name is Molly Bliese. I am in my 5th semester at Ball State University in the ABA program. I have 8 years of working experience in the field of ABA in the intensive in-home program setting with children with autism in regards to implementing programming and training parents.
Gina Masco will be our Tele ABA attacker prover.
Hi, I'm Gina Masco. This is my 2nd semester at Ball State University, receiving my master's in ABA with an emphasis in autism. I have 1 year of experience working in the field of ABA, running in-home programs as well as working in a high school.
Kimberly Janice will be our in-home ABA attacker prover.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Janice. I also go by Kimmy. I am in my 2nd semester at Ball State University in the ABA program with a specialization in autism. I have 2 years of working experience in the field of ABA in a private school setting and in-home learner training with families.
Thank you, everyone. Next slide, please. Many are aware of what in-home ABA, also known as applied behavior analysis, is and why it is used. According to Applied Behavior Analysis, edu.org, in-home applied behavior analysis is a therapy for children with autism and other developmental disorders that consists of highly flexible and versatile programs that supplement or replace facility-based care. ABA is not primarily used for individuals with autism, but it is quite common. In-home ABA services are what most people are familiar with. Next slide. Tele ABA, on the other hand, is comparable to in-home ABA, but lesser known. According to Applied Behavior Analysis, edu.org, Tele ABA is where behavior analysts use technology to provide therapy remotely. Telebehavioral health consists of a behavior analyst working at a remote location, but still providing the same kind of evaluations, services, and therapies that they would in the office. Most commonly, live video conferencing is used through technologies such as Skype, Google Hangouts, or FaceTime. Next slide. Please direct your attention to the quick video that explains more about telehealth on a broader scale.
Have you ever heard of the terms telehealth or telemedicine and wondered what they meant? Maybe it has something to do with a cell phone or calling your doctor when you need a prescription? Meet Carol. Carol is the busy mother of 3 young children and a full-time program manager at a nonprofit center for youth. Carol is also the only child of her elderly mother, Irene, who lives 200 miles away. On any given day, Carol has to juggle school schedules, meetings, messages from her mother's caregiver, and after-school activities that leave her exhausted by the end of the day. At Carol's last checkup, she found out she has diabetes and needs to improve her diet, get more exercise, and reduce her stress. Carol needs a follow-up appointment to learn how to get her condition under control. To get the follow-up care she needs, Carol will have to take more time off from work, spend time in traffic, and pay for longer after-school care for her children. This all adds up to more money, more time, and more stress. How does Carol save time and money and still get access to safe, affordable health care? The answer is telemedicine. Meet Bill. Bill is a nurse practitioner at SIVA Health, where telemedicine makes getting health care easier. Using a simple internet connection on her phone, tablet, or computer, Carol talks face-to-face with Bill and starts learning how to count carbs, measure proteins, and interpret food labels to create healthier meals for herself and her family. Bill uses creative charts to design a fitness plan that works for Carol's busy schedule and even shares videos on meditation to help lower her stress. Bill also uses telemedicine to connect with Carol's doctor and report her success week by week. No matter where she is, at home, in the office, or far away on vacation with her family, Carol's phone, tablet, or computer connects her to the diabetes care she needs and a provider she trusts. Thanks to SIVA Health and the smart solution of telemedicine, Carol now understands diabetes far better than she ever did. She knows all the important signs and symptoms to watch out for and what to report when she returns to the doctor for her physical checkups. Carol doesn't have to take time off from work, spend time in traffic, pay expensive co-pays, or lose time with her children and family. That's telemedicine, and that's SIVA Health, where smarter technologies make getting healthcare easier.
Next slide, please. Tele ABA can be considered telehealth or telemedicine because Tele ABA provides a service involving professionals through the use of online software technology. Tele ABA can be done individually with the behavior analyst and the parents or caregivers or a team member and the behavior analyst. This creates an avenue of communication and allows both parties to talk about programs, struggles, questions, and comments without the family or caregivers ever having to leave the home. This method can also include direct training and instruction via the behavior analyst. Another example of how Tele ABA can be used is through a group setting, such as a video conference. Some trainings and consultations can be done with a larger group of people present, like a classroom of staff or a meeting. This is beneficial for people in a remote location. Now we will begin our debate. First, we will begin with Jana, who will be speaking on behalf of the Tele ABA services. Jana, you may begin.
Hi, I am Jana Bosscher, and I will speak on behalf of Tele ABA. Based on recent research, Tele ABA is comparable to in-home ABA, as it results in similar outcomes for clients. One study was a literature review of 20 studies compiled by Tomlinson, Gore, and McGill in 2018. Tele ABA is designed to train stakeholders, which is an important part of ABA. Programs presented in person and programs presented via telehealth have similar outcomes for clients and stakeholders in fidelity, therapeutic alliance, and client outcomes. Unlike other professions in the field of psychology, telehealth in ABA is mainly used to train stakeholders instead of providing direct client services. Direct client services are not really an option in Tele ABA because the therapist must be able to modify the environment, which can't be done virtually. However, a big portion of ABA, both in person and via telehealth, is training stakeholders, which can be done effectively via telemedicine. In 2017, Kuravkel et al. Studied a parent training program provided via telehealth or in person, and some people were waitlisted. The studies found that the telehealth and in-person groups showed similar results in, quote, lowering child behavior post-test scores and, quote, parent competency and parent stress, end quote, and the therapeutic alliance. And these areas were statistically significantly improved over the waitlist condition. Trainee fidelity was widely variable for trainings provided through both in-person modalities and via telehealth. The therapeutic alliance was comparable for both telehealth or in-person trainings. Outcomes for clients were significantly improved. For instance, a 2016 study by Lindgren et al. Compared 3 groups: in-home therapy, clinic-based therapy, and telehealth. Quote, the mean percentage reduction in problem behavior was greater than 90% in all 3 groups after treatment, and treatment acceptability based on parent ratings was high for all groups, end quote. Next slide, please. Another comparative study by High Hansen and Eldavik resulted in the following graph. The researchers found no statistically significant difference in the gains made between 2 randomly assigned groups who received either in-person or telehealth trainings. You will notice that the 2 lines remain parallel throughout the graph, Although the on-site group began higher, it did not gain more correct DTT teaching skills than the other group. In short, telehealth is comparable to face-to-face parent trainings in outcomes and success rates. Two ethical codes which are relevant here are 4.09 and 2.09. Code 4.09, the least restrictive procedures, says, and I quote, "Behavior analysts review and appraise the restrictiveness of procedures and always recommend the least restrictive procedures likely to be effective," end quote. This is relevant to telehealth because telehealth may be the least restrictive procedure. If I can train a parent or another stakeholder to provide services without invading the privacy of their home, that may be the least restrictive procedure. Another relevant code is 2.09, Treatment, Intervention, and Efficacy, which says, in part, quote, "A, clients have the right to effective treatment. Behavior analysts always have an obligation to advocate for and educate the client about scientifically supported, most effective treatment procedures. Effective procedures have been validated as having both long-term and short-term benefits to clients and society. C, in those instances where more than one scientifically supported treatment has been established, additional factors may be considered in selecting interventions, including but not limited to efficiency and cost-effectiveness, risks and side effects of the intervention, client preference, and practitioner experience and training," end quote. This is relevant to telehealth because, as I have stated, Tele ABA has provided equal outcomes as in-person ABA parent training programs. Therefore, as an effective treatment, behavior analysts are obligated to educate their clients about Tele ABA, especially when other factors such as distance or cost are important. I covered why telehealth is comparable to face-to-face parent trainings in outcomes and success rates. Jana will cover cost effectiveness and safety benefits, and then I will give our final statement.
Now we will hear from Molly, who will be speaking on behalf of in-home ABA services. Molly, you may begin.
Thanks, Rachel. As Rachel stated, I will be speaking today on behalf of in-home ABA services. It is agreed that Tele ABA is designed to train stakeholders, which is an important part of ABA. Tomlinson 2018 stated that despite these advantages, conducting training primarily via telehealth may present more barriers than providing training in person in relation to role-playing skills, observing practice, monitoring implementation fidelity, and collecting data. This may partially explain the slower uptake of telehealth within ABA, and early examples often used initial in-person training supplemented by the telehealth support. If implementation fidelity and data collection are compromised, the whole treatment could shift and not go per planned. This would then compromise the integrity of the intervention, which leads us to code 1.04, integrity. Due to the fact that the behavior analyst isn't there in person doing this training, they are unable to honestly arrange the environment to promote truthful and honest behavior in others, which code 1.04 points to. Also, we could look to potential violations of code 8.04, media presentations and media-based services. Specifically, this code states that behavior analysts using electronic media must obtain and maintain knowledge regarding the security and limitations of electronic media in order to adhere to this code. If behavior analysts are not monitoring elements of security and confidentiality, this code can easily be violated when using Tele ABA. Tele ABA research versus in-home is in its early stages, which limits its validity and effectiveness. Tomlinson 2018 also stated that, although the initial results of Tele ABA are promising, a key limitation of the evidence base for telehealth training in ABA procedures relates to the methodological quality of the studies. The articles included in this review were most commonly rated as weak or borderline adequate on the evaluative method, indicating that they lacked key indicators of methodological quality. This finding replicates earlier findings by Bosscher et al. 2010, who similarly found that research relating to telehealth support for people with autism spectrum disorder had key methodological flaws. Only 5 studies in the current review were rated as adequate and only 1 as strong. This quote drives home that Tele ABA significantly violates ethical code 2.09, treatment intervention efficacy, and that the most effective treatment is not being implemented. Gina, next slide, please. Technology-based treatment, or telehealth services, is listed under the emerging category per the National Autism Center National Standards Project Phase 2. This National Standards Project Phase 2, put out by the National Autism Center, technology-based intervention is stated as an emerging intervention for learners on the autism spectrum. An emerging intervention is defined as one for which one or more studies suggest they may produce favorable outcomes. However, before we can be fully confident that the interventions are effective, additional high-quality studies are needed that consistently show these interventions to be effective for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. This proves that Tele ABA did not receive the title of evidence-based practice as of 2015. We know that evidence-based interventions are at the core of applied behavior analysis. This means that Tele ABA presents itself as a violation of Code 2.09, treatment intervention efficacy. In-home therapies are made up of behavioral interventions instructed in person by a behavioral technician, such as joint attention intervention, chaining, functional-based intervention, imitation training, and reinforcement schedules, to name a few. The National Standards Project Phase 2 classifies behavioral interventions as an established intervention. Ethical Code 2.10, documenting professional work and research, could also be violated here, as these behavior analysts are not working face-to-face with the clients. This means they aren't having the client sign off on paperwork such as training agendas or family treatment guidance notes. The behavior analyst may not be keeping accurate documentation of these session notes, or they could have them stored on their personal computers, which could lead us to a violation of Code 2.06, maintaining confidentiality. I have covered why, with limited research, the delivery of ABA via telehealth services has not been fully established. Kimmy will cover how in-home puts the interests of the clients first, which will provide generalization and improvement in skills, and then Kimmy will also give our final statement.
Now we'll hear from Jana, who will be speaking on behalf of Tele ABA services. Jana, you may begin.
Thank you, Rachel. Tele ABA only has limited research because the technology and resources available are constantly changing and improving. There is a lack of research due to Tele ABA being a more recent form of telehealth that is improving along with technology. This makes it possible to obtain an effective way of providing treatment to those in need that do not have access to person-to-person treatment. In the research article with Laurie Vismar and colleagues, they mention how the intro and development of advanced technologies can provide alternatives and supplements to how services and treatments are delivered to those in need. These improvements in technology are opening windows to new resources that may be used. As it is stated in the Ethics and Compliance Codes numbered 2.03 and 2.09, it is the role of the behavior analyst to provide the most effective and appropriate treatment possible. With the improvement of technologies, clients now have the ability to receive effective services. Scott Lindergren and colleagues mention, with today's available technology and resources, Tele ABA is the future of ABA. Telehealth not only is cost-effective, but has additional safety benefits. This point covers Ethical Codes 2.03, 2.12, and 4.07. In a current research study that was done, Scott Lindergren explains that the average weekly cost of delivering telehealth was $58 per participant, compared to $335 if the consultants traveled to provide coaching on-site or in-home. This is a drastic difference that is a cost-effective way of delivering ABA, which provides lower-income families the opportunity to receive the services they need. He also mentions total costs for implementing treatment were lowest for home telehealth, but both telehealth models were significantly less costly than in-home therapy. Ethical Code 2.03 explains the significance of delivering services that are appropriate as a behavior analyst. Not all families have the ability to spend $335 per session. This is where Tele ABA would be appropriate. This family can receive the services that are desired without being limited due to income. Glebova and colleagues mention, even with appropriate training and supervision, therapists working in more challenging home environments may feel and appear to their clients as more guarded, less trusting, and open. Code 4.07 states, If environmental conditions hinder implementation of the behavior change program, behavior analysts seek to eliminate the environmental constraints or identify in writing the obstacles to doing so. If the clinician or analyst feels unsafe in the home environment, they have the right to protect themselves and eliminate the constraints. An important aspect in this field is to positively pair with the client or learner so that they feel comfortable working with you. When feeling uncomfortable during a session, it often has the power to alter the behaviors of the client receiving therapy and cause them to feel uncomfortable as well, losing the relationship or progress. If a clinician does not feel safe in the environment where therapy is occurring, there is a high chance that the clinician will no longer be benefiting the client because they are more focused on feeling safe. In the case of Tele ABA, there is a barrier that is causing this issue to become irrelevant, which also covers Ethical Code 2.09. Clients have the right to effective treatment. Treatment will no longer be effective when there are variables changing how the way the clinician may run the behavior plan. Tele ABA is providing an opportunity for low-income families to receive necessary treatment while keeping the clinician safe. In these graphs on the PowerPoint, it shows the cost per child for the in-home therapy, clinic telehealth, and home telehealth.
Thanks, Gina. Now we will hear from Kimmy, who will be speaking on behalf of in-home ABA services. Kimmy, you may begin.
Although telehealth may offer the sense of safety for the provider, in-home services keeps true to Code 2.0, the client's best interest. Consideration of cost for the client must also include out-of-pocket expenses for technology that will be used for services when using telehealth. Costs such as high-speed internet, a working electronic device, and virus protection software are all alleviated when using in-home services. So, for the lower-income families that are counting on their health care to cover the cost of therapy, in-home services may not be the best cost-friendly option for them. In-home also proves to hold the best interests of the client through more opportunities for generalization and improvement in language and social skills. A study by Cerna and colleagues studied the effectiveness of in-home family conferences and their promotion of generalization and communication skills. The study quotes, "The use of the family conference procedure produced high levels of generalization in both types of interactions. The skill teaching phase and the family conference phase were both associated with marked improvements in the ratings of family members of their communication and interactions. Family conference procedures were used and involved teaching family members to use the skills in the home in response to real-life problems and to reach an acceptable resolution of these real-life problems," end quote. This also proves support for in-home services in reference to Code 4.07, environmental conditions that interfere with implementation. Through access to hands-on training for the parent and clients, Tele ABA may fall at the risk of interference of environmental factors such as something as common as a poor internet connection. Training areas and materials to produce thorough sessions are important to be used consistently and accurately. ABA therapy services sometimes require moment-by-moment decisions or alteration of the technique being used. This could cause parents to easily become overwhelmed, frustrated, or confused when attempting multiple procedures at once without feeling truly supported or confident in their attempts. As an in-home service provider, you can see firsthand what the environment offers clearly and freely, and you are able to optimize the techniques and provide a clear and defined procedure to train the parent on the execution of the procedures. Next slide, please. A telehealth environment may be restricted to one localized room, such as a living room or office area, where the technology being used may be set up. As displayed in these diagrams provided in the study by Hay, Hansen, and Eldrevik, 2013, only one camera angle is available during sessions, limiting the space that can be utilized. Also, when training in a crisis or for challenging behavior, in-home also keeps both hands free for the parent and service provider and offers additional hands-on support for the behavior to be decreased more quickly and effectively. Next slide. Thank you. Training also frequently requires on-your-feet thinking, which could sometimes lead to a change of environment to an alternative room or area of the household. If the teletraining is localized to only one area, the training then may become disjointed and leave the trainer in a blind sight and no way to accurately lead the trainee in the moment. When the professional is present during in-home services, the technique can be used in a reactive fashion without the time delay of the parent waiting for verbal instruction to be executed. This furthermore provides support for Code 4.07, environmental conditions that interfere with implementation, as well as 2.0, the client's best interest, through focusing on the child and being able to offer a faster and more effective training with parents and guardians. Thank you.
Now each side will have a chance to give a final statement and prove their claim. Jana, you may begin.
As we have seen, Tele ABA is an exciting new opportunity for expanding our services outside our local areas through the use of technology. The studies that have been done comparing telehealth and in-person ABA systematically promote equal client outcomes, reduced cost for the client and provider, and more comfort for the provider. As a cutting-edge technology, I am sure that more peer-reviewed studies will be done in the future in this promising new field. Obviously, providers who use telemedicine must maintain the same ethical standards as providers who use in-person services. All providers of ABA must be honest and ethical therapists, regardless of the platform of their services. As previously suggested, telemedicine has some additional benefits in cost-effectiveness and safety. As Rachel stated at the very beginning, some telemedicine programs are provided as a group training in a remote city where technology is already provided, as was seen by the diagram provided by Hay Hansen and Eldevec, 2016. An additional benefit to this type of group is that teachers, parents, and other relevant stakeholders can all learn together and implement the same interventions for a single client, which in turn would help promote generalization. In short, Tele ABA is a comparable method for training stakeholders and should be considered for future research and in our future practices.
Kimmy, this will be your last chance to support your side. You may begin.
Thank you. There is no doubt that the world of technology we live in does not offer excitement towards expansion of the health world, and telehealth does not fall short of this. It is important for healthcare to adapt to progressive opportunities as see fit. This alternative option to the services of ABA offers an interesting take on these opportunities, but caution must be used. Keeping the services in compliance with the ethical codes and guidelines are most important to the healthcare world. As quoted by Bailey and Birch, these core ethical principles guide our everyday lives and play a significant role in basic decision-making in the practice of our profession. End quote. Our areas of concern when considering telehealth as an appropriate and effective comparable source of ABA include following codes 4.07, environmental conditions that interfere with implementation, 2.0, responsibility to clients, 4.09, least restrictive procedures, 2.06, maintaining confidentiality, 2.10, documenting professional work and research, 1.04, integrity, 8.04, media presentations and media-based services, and 2.09, treatment intervention efficacy. In-home services have been tried and true to following these and all ethical codes provided in our guidelines as behavior analysts. Yet, in a world of advanced technologies, we realize it is important to keep up with times. Thus, as a courtesy to the families we work with, the use of in-home and telehealth collaboratively could offer flexibility and cater to the preferences of the clients we work with.
Thank you, Kimmy. This brings us to the conclusion of our debate. Thank you for all of our members for participating. We are now open for questions, and we have plenty of time left. One question we received reads, what is BCBA's ethical responsibility when considering client preference in regards to the use of Tele ABA? Who would like to answer this question?
I'll take this one.
Gina, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Ethics Code 2.09 states that clients have the right to effective treatment. If there is a client located in a rural area, the most effective treatment may be Tele ABA. Also, 2.09 states that the behavior analysts have the responsibility to advocate for the appropriate amount of support needed for the client, whether that consists of video conferencing and training or direct in-home therapy and parent training. There may be more scientifically supported treatment established, but different factors should be considered when choosing a treatment. Efficiency and cost effectiveness are two important factors that might support using Tele ABA services rather than in-home services.
Thank you, Gina. Another question. What confidentiality issues might arise when providing either in-home or Tele ABA therapy, and how should these be addressed? Who would like to answer this question?
I'll take this one, Rachel.
Molly, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Ethics Code 2.06 states that behavior analysts have a primary obligation to take reasonable precautions to protect the confidentiality of those with whom they work or consult. In the in-home setting, all notes and paperwork regarding treatment stay primarily at the client's home. If behavior analysts are bringing any identifying paperwork to the home, they are safely transporting it themselves, meaning that it is kept on their person or locked away in a safe place, like a lockbox stored in the trunk of their car. For my company, all reports that are kept on personal computers are accessed through a remote network desktop, which requires a password for each employee. My fellow clinicians and I also use the app GroupMe if we ever need to communicate about a client immediately. This app lets you select who is in a group, and only those people selected can be involved in the conversation. We title our groups by our clients' initials, and this app has also been certified HIPAA compliant, maintaining client confidentiality. For Tele ABA, behavior analysts have the parents fill out a consent form for remote consultation prior to the services starting. These forms are filled out in person or faxed in and then locked up afterwards.
Thank you, Molly. Would anyone like to talk about their personal experience related to this topic?
I would.
Gina, go ahead.
So I've been lucky enough to have the opportunity to use Tele ABA during my in-home sessions. During in-home sessions, we use Tele ABA so that the behavior analyst or clinical coordinator may provide feedback to both the clinician and guardians in the home when they're not able to make it to the sessions. This gives the behavior analyst direct access to view the sessions to monitor progress or mistakes being made. In my experience, Tele ABA has been extremely beneficial to the clinicians, families, clients, and behavior analysts on the cases.
In conclusion, a lot more research has been established in favor of in-home ABA services and considered an evidence-based practice as mentioned and confirmed throughout this debate. On the other hand, Tele ABA services is considered in the emerging category. With that being said, at this point in time, in-home ABA services are superior in comparison to Tele ABA services. Thank you all for tuning into our debate. I would like to thank Jana, Molly, Gina, and Kimmy again for participating tonight. My name is Rachel Johnson, and we will see you next time. The references used for our debate are as follows.
And that's all.